The building manager called me furious. Is this how you operate? Sneaking in extra charges? It took an hour to prove the invoice was fake, comparing it to my real ones, showing the discrepancies in formatting and invoice numbering. But damage was done. She insisted on written confirmation for every single task going forward, tripling my paperwork. Marcus quit a week later. Not because of Brad directly, but the stress was getting to everyone. I got an offer from a bigger company, he said. Better benefits, more stability. I can't deal with all this drama. I couldn't blame him. Losing him meant Lisa and I were pulling 12-hour days to keep up with contracts. Devin stepped up, taking on more responsibility, but I could see the strain. His wife called me once, worried about the long hours and all the weird stuff happening. That's when I found out about the loan applications. My bank called about unusual activity. Someone had applied for business loans in my company's name at 3 different banks. The applications had enough accurate information to get past initial screening, but fell apart under scrutiny. Each one claimed I was desperately seeking capital to stay afloat, that the business was failing. The loan officer who called knew me well enough to question it, but what about the banks that didn't know me? How many rejections were now on my record? Dad helped me file fraud alerts with all the credit bureaus. This is beyond family squabbles, he said. Brad's committing actual crimes, but proving it was him versus some random scammer was nearly impossible. The applications came from public computers at libraries, used disposable email addresses. All I had was circumstantial evidence and timing that seemed too convenient to be coincidence. The medical building job kept us afloat through the chaos. Every floor we completed proved our competence, and the building manager slowly warmed back up. Other tenants started asking about plumbing upgrades, seeing the quality of our work, but Brad escalated again. This time he went after my suppliers directly, calling as a concerned customer, reporting that I hadn't paid bills. 2 suppliers put my account on hold until I could prove payment history. More hours lost to administrative battles instead of actual work. Lisa surprised me with her response to the pressure. Instead of folding, she got angry. This is bullshit, she said one afternoon, covered in piped open sweat. You're running an honest business, and this jackass is trying to tear it down because he's jealous. She started documenting everything obsessively. Photos of every job site, timestamps on arrivals and departures, copies of every receipt and invoice. If he wants to play games, we need proof of everything. The restraining order attempt was my breaking point. I came home to find legal papers taped to my door. Brad had filed for a protective order, claiming I was harassing him and his new business ventures. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so infuriating. His evidence? Photos of my truck at multiple locations where he was conducting business, my own job sites where he'd been stalking me. The hearing was set for next week, right in the middle of finishing the medical building. Amy went to court with me, along with Dad and 3 clients who'd witnessed Brad's behavior. The judge dismissed the order within minutes, warning Brad about filing false claims. But it was another day lost, another public record making me look like trouble. Devin didn't say anything, but I saw him update his resume that night in the office. Can't blame a man for keeping options open when his boss is constantly in some kind of drama. 2 days later, the medical building's fire suppression system triggered on the floor we'd just finished. Water everywhere, soaking new drywall and flooding the floor below. Initial investigation suggested a valve had been tampered with, opened just enough to cause a slow leak that eventually triggered the sensors. The security footage was conveniently corrupted for that time period. I spent 18 hours straight fixing the damage, Lisa beside me the whole time. We saved the contract, but barely. Brad made his next move through social media. A Facebook page appeared called Protect Yourself from Shady Contractors, featuring anonymous stories about plumbers who overcharged, damaged property, and disappeared with deposits. Each story had details that almost but not quite matched my jobs. Close enough that clients might wonder, different enough that I couldn't claim defamation. The page gained hundreds of followers within days, mostly fake accounts, but some real people who didn't know better. My lawyer sent cease and desist letters, but new pages popped up as fast as we could shut them down. Know your rights against contractor fraud, local plumbing horror stories, each one more creative than the last. They never mentioned me by name, just dropped hints about young plumbers who bought their way into the business and contractors who learned from questionable mentors. Tony called me, upset that they were dragging his reputation into it. I assured him none of this was his fault, but I could hear the hurt in his voice. The scheduling sabotage was subtle but effective. Someone kept calling my clients to confirm appointments at wrong times. Customers would be home waiting when we were scheduled for next week, or gone when we showed up as planned. Each confusion took time to sort out, made us look disorganized. Lisa started calling every client the night before to confirm, adding another hour to each day's work. But even that didn't stop the confusion when someone called right after her with different information. I finally caught a break when one of Brad's fake customers made a mistake. They left a voicemail complaining about work I'd supposedly done at an address that turned out to be a vacant lot. The phone number traced back to a burner phone, but the voicemail mentioned specific plumbing codes that had been updated just last month. Only someone actively studying for a license would know those details.